First thing I'm going to talk about is the Transformers 1 trailer that came out today. So, overall, I thought the trailer was okay. Now, there were things I liked about the trailer, and there were things that concerned me about the movie. Like, I compare it to the trailer for the new Crow movie coming out, where I'm excited for the movie still, but I'm also concerned about some of the creative decisions. So let me start with the positives with this trailer. I think the animation looks good. I think the acting looks good. I actually did like Chris Hemsworth as the voice of Optimus, from what I can tell in the trailer, because I feel like at first it threw me a little off because I'm so used to there was no voice actor who voiced Optimus in all the Transformers medium stuff before this, the animated stuff, the live action stuff. And it did throw me off at first, but I felt like as the trailer went along, he did start to sound more like the stoic, serious Optimus that I knew from past Transformers stuff and that fans knew. So I felt like he kind of like the voice drew me throughout the trailer as it went along. I think Scarlett Johansson sounds fine in the trailer when it comes to the character she's voicing. Like, I didn't have an issue with her voice as the female Autobot. It's like, I can't remember the name of the character, but I thought her voice sounded good in the trailer. And then there's some story elements I do like. Like, I like the idea it's set on Cybertron. There's no humans. Like, I think this is the first Transformers movie where we don't have a single human actually in a movie, which I thought that was nice. That this actually focuses on the Transformers. And I like the fact it takes place before the war. I do like the fact that you're seeing Megatron and Optimus as friends before they become enemies, because it does kind of remind me of X-Men, where you had Magneto and Professor X, which were friends before they became mortal enemies. And it reminded me of First Class, one of my favorite X-Men movies, which was like showing a younger version of these characters before they've actually become the characters you know later on. So I do like that element of the story. And I thought there was some moments in the trailer that landed for me when it comes to the comedy. Now I'll talk about the negative, but the comedy aspect I'm worried about. And another positive thing with this trailer for me is that I do like the fact that they can't transform right away. This is something they show in the trailer that they have to earn, and when they get the ability, like they have to figure out how to do it at first. Like, I like the fact that it's something they have to like gain in the movie. That it's not like something like they can't transform right away. I think that's kind of cool personally, because it adds like to me a different element to the lore, and to show that they're gonna struggle at first, and it's like they won't have that power at the start of the movie. I personally like that. The negatives with this trailer is that I think Keegan Michael Key, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I probably pronounced his name wrong. Keegan Michael Key, the voice of B, he just sounded like himself, personally to me. Like, I know he voiced the Mushroom character in the Super Mario movie, and I don't know, he just kind of sounded like himself. And look, I mean, with Bumblebee stuff, because when you go to the Transformers live action movies, Bumblebee never really had much of a voice in those movies. So I will say that. But yeah, he just sounded like himself. And then the actor who does the voice for Megatron, I understand this is a more lighthearted Megatron. This is the Megatron when he was good. And I like the idea of having that banter between him and Optimus at the beginning, where they're trying to show that they were buddies. But it just also at the same time doesn't feel like Megatron. The voice, it sounds a bit too lighthearted and fun. And then the last negative trailer for me is that I do feel like the tone feels a little too goofy for me. And look, I don't have a problem with humor in movies. There's movies that I love that have different tones. Like, I love my movies when they're dark and grim. I love my movies when it's serious and comedy. I love my movies when it's just fun comedy. If the execution is handled well, you can have a movie have a lot of comedy in it and still be serious at the same time. And look, you go back to the original animated movie. There's some cheesy stuff in that movie. But I felt like it took it serious. And Bumblebee, I thought was a great job also of having comedy in a Bumblebee movie while still having an emotional, serious story. Like, so I don't like. There's definitely times where you can sometimes overdo it with the comedy, and it all depends on how it's handled when I see the movie. And look, sometimes comedy in Transformers doesn't work for me. When you even go to the Michael Bay movies, which I hated Transformers 225, but even the first Michael Bay movie, I enjoyed that movie, but I didn't love it. Like there's comedy in that movie that was a little too goofy even for me. Like so, it's not like Transformers movies aren't known to have humor in them. Like even in the first Michael Bay Transformers movie, you have a scene where a dog pees on one of the Autobots, and you have them hiding behind Sam's house while him and Megan Fox character looking for those glasses in his room. You have like some jokes that feel like they're from like the American Pie movies. So it's not like the Transformers movies aren't known to have like ridiculous, goofy humor in their movies. Like I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Bay's style of humor in his Transformers movies. Like I don't even love the first one. Like I don't dislike his first Transformers movie, but even in that movie, there's times where the humor is a little too silly for me. So like I have to like for me, that's one of the concerns I do have is that it's looking a little too slapstick goofy for me. And look, I totally understand that this does feel like it's aimed more towards kids. And I also understand that like this is a trailer. To me, I could like when I watch the movie when it comes out, I can have that movie can end up being one of those things where it's like, you know what, this was all the comedy that's in the movie, and then I watch the movie and they have a really great balance with the comedy. Because it's just again, it's like it's a trailer, so it's hard. Like this isn't what I was thinking this movie was going to be tone wise, but that doesn't mean it can't work. Because there's also movies where I watch the trailer or something, and go like, okay, I wasn't blown away by the trailer, or a trailer. When I watch the trailer, I go like, oh, that looks bad. But then when I watch the movie, I'm like, oh, you know what? When I actually watch the movie and see the tone and story and context of everything, then it ends up being good. So I'm always the type of person who's like, also like open minded, where I'm like, look, I don't have a problem when you take a franchise and you want to take a different you want to go for something different in a popular franchise and take a swing. Because sometimes that can end up being it can be really great, or sometimes they can end up not laying in for me personally. So, like, for me, it's a very much a trailer that I'm kind of like, I can see some things from the story, the idea of exploring the origin. Was that could be a bad or good thing too, because there's sometimes where in origin movies you try to explain stuff like the Alien prequels are a good example of this. When I remember when Prometheus came out, I was really excited for Prometheus and exploring the origin of the space jockey and aliens. And then when you actually watch the movie, for me personally, I was just not a fan of the execution. And then there's movies like X-Men First Class, which is a prequel movie, where Rogue One, which explores that one element in the original New Hope, in the original Star Wars movie New Hope, about the plans for the Death Star. So there's times where going back doing a prequel to explain some stuff can end up being good, or it can end up being bad execution. So overall, I think the trailer is fine. I can totally understand why some Transformers diehard fans are gonna hate this trailer. I can totally see why. But I can also see some people who maybe aren't hardcore Transformers fans watching it and going like, it looks like a fun animated movie. So I'm still excited for this movie. I'm definitely kind of in the middle when it comes to how I feel about this trailer, but I'm still excited for this movie. The next thing I want to talk about is the actors will be playing Giant Storm in the upcoming Fantastic Four reboot. Was talking about how this movie's going to feel different from other Marvel movies. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I love what he says about this feeling different from other Marvel movies, where, that this isn't going to feel the same like past Marvel movies. He was also talking about how working with the cast, the director, which I'm really excited by the guy who's directing, because it's the guy who did WandaVision. Was personally, in my opinion, I think WandaVision, Miss Marvel, X-Men 97, and Loki are the best Disney Plus shows, because I think those are the shows, in my opinion, that do a good job with story and character. And I loved how WandaVision was about grief. And I'm going to get back to that with why I want to talk about this, is that one of the other things he talked about was superhero fatigue. And I really love what he said here, because I've talked about this in my past videos. I don't believe in superhero fatigue. What I believe is in quality fatigue. What I mean by that is that I believe that people are sick and tired of bad to generic, mediocre comic book movies. because that's what dilutes a band. If you put out lots of stuff of a specific brand or a franchise or a genre, and you're putting out just stuff that's very mediocre, terrible, mediocre, then people are going to get tired of that genre. And another reason why I don't believe in superhero fatigue is because you look at the last couple of years, the past few years, yeah, there's been some superhero movies that haven't done well. But you also got Guardians 3 and Across the Spider-Verse, which made a lot of money at the box office last year. Look at Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, whatever you feel about that, it made over 900. Even a movie like Thor Love and Thunder, which I'm not that big of a fan of, made over 700. Spider-Man No Way Home made nearly $2 billion. I mean 1.9. Black Panther Wakanda Forever made over 800, and that was out its lead character. So, like, if people were tired of superhero movies, then Across the Spider-Verse and Guardians 3 wouldn't have done well in theaters last year. So those are the two of the arguments I have against that idea. But I love what he says here. He says, superhero movies are movies about people, and if we're invested in the people and characters and the danger and spectacular, then that's why people go to the theaters to watch movies. I love what he says here, specifically if we're investing in the people and characters. Because here's the thing with superhero movies, in my opinion, is that why Guardians 3 did so well, why Across the Spider-Verse did so well, is because you felt invested in the story and characters. You know, when you look back at the original Iron Man movie, you know what made that original Iron Man movie so fantastic? Not the accent. Is that it told a story about this guy, Tony Stark, who started off as this joke, this playboy, and ladies man, who didn't realize the weapons he created was being used to kill people. And the whole movie is about a redemption story of Tony Stark, about this guy who has this gigantic ego, and doesn't realize the stuff he's creating is hurting people. And he wants to redeem himself throughout the movie. When he realizes his weapons he made were being used to kill people. And that's the thing. You want to invest in the Tony Stark character that movie. You want to invest in the journey of his character. You want to journey with his character. You know, the director's going to be directing this movie. Like I said, he did WandaVision. You know what made WandaVision so great? Is that it focused on the relationship between Vision and Wanda. It focused on this loving relationship that ends tragically. It focuses on a story about Wanda, this character who's been gone through multiple tragedies about grief, how we handle grief, how grief can break you down and take you to a better place. That's the superhero stuff with movies that you need to focus on. Is that people want something different in comic movies, but they also, most importantly of all, is that they want a good story. They want characters you can feel invested in. That's what makes superheroes movies great. Is that if you want to get superhero movies, films like where to hit them more again, is that you need to get back to that. So that's why I don't believe in superhero fatigue, because it's just there's so many examples to me that shows why people aren't tired of superhero movies. Like the superhero genre is diluted a little bit because the quality is just not being consistent. Look at the MCU after the Infinity Saga; they've been all over the place. The DCU never really came together for people. Whether you like some of the movies, you don't like some of the movies, whatever. Box office and critical reputation overall for the DC. I'm talking about overall, it just never seemed to click for people. And the quality with the MCU has been so all over the place after the Infinity Saga. Because here's another thing: if people are tired of comic movies, you go back to the Infinity Saga. It's had 21, 22 movies or something like that, from Iron Man to Spider-Man Far From Home. I mean, at some point, MCU was putting out like 3 movies a year, and people weren't getting tired of them. So to me, it's about just make good movies. Focus on making a comic movie feel different, but at the same time, focus on making sure people care about the story and characters. So I just love what he hears, and just him saying him talking about this stuff just makes me more excited for the Fantastic Four reboot, because whether you like or love Tim's story ones, with the 2015 one, or the original Fantastic Four movie that was never released in theaters, in my opinion personally, there hasn't been a good one. I think for most fans, there hasn't been that Fantastic Four movie that you can stay you can say that was good. I'm saying for most fans, like every movie has fans, so I know there's some people that enjoy the Tim Story ones, but I know for a lot of people, it never felt like the Fantastic Four. There has been a Fantastic Four movie that's really lived to the potential of the characters. So to me, I'm just so excited about this movie, and definitely hoping this will be the Fantastic Four movie that like these kids will finally get a good movie. Hopefully. The next thing I want to talk about is Steven Spielberg's next movie is going to be a UFO movie based on his own original idea. Now, this has me interested based on the fact that Steven Spielberg, one of the best directors, and he's done a lot of alien movies. So definitely has tapped into that genre of film before. Like, I mean, he did E.T. I love E.T. He did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which I love. So, I mean, I'm just saying based on the fact that he's attached to it, and this will probably be his next project, and he's going back to that genre. So I definitely can't wait. Whatever this movie turns out to be, really excited for it. The next thing is that a Ready or Not sequel has been announced. Basically, the directors were saying like they're working on it, and I think the report was saying the lead actress is confirmed to be coming back. I love hearing this because I love Ready or Not. That was one of my favorite horror movies, and I can't remember the name of the lead actress in that movie, but I thought she was fantastic in that movie, and I loved her character. So for me, they were talking about how they have a great idea for a sequel, and I love hearing that because, like I said, I love that movie, and I definitely would be interested to see where they would go with a sequel with the whole supernatural, because you had a supernatural element in that movie, and I just would love to see where her character is after that movie mentally, after like she went through all that in that movie, and it was just a really great horror movie with just great characters, and it had really a great balance of like fun and horrifying at the same time. So I definitely can't wait for a sequel to this. So that's all the movie news today. Until next time, movie fans.